Oh my goodness. I am literally about to have breakfast right now and I checked my phone and a bunch of fights have just been announced. Islam Makhachev is vacating his lightweight title to move up to welterweight division to face Jack Della Maddalena. That fight will be determined at a certain date, not announced just yet. Can you believe that? Now, we know that Ilya has a situation going on in lightweight where he wants to get that belt, and he had a choice between Charles and Islam. Since Islam is vacating and going up a weight class to face JDM, now he is fighting at UFC 317 against Charles Oliveira in International Fight Week, June 28th. Ho, 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 ho. Guys, I'm gonna talk about this. Let me get through the announcements first, okay? Next fight we have announced, I think in the co-main of that, is Pantoja versus Kai-Kara France. I mean, it was pretty much due. I'll talk about that really quick as well. And we got the fight that people have been talking about. Does he have injuries? Does he not have injuries? Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis, middleweight bout, UFC 319, August 16th, guys. That is that fight. But guys, these were pretty much the big announcements that were just made yesterday. I'm just seeing them this morning, apparently. Topuria versus Oliveira. Topuria versus Oliveira. I'm kind of not surprised by that decision because they're either two good fights anyways, if Topuria was going to fight Islam or if he was going to fight Oliveira. But what was really interesting to me is Islam's decision to vacate that title. Now, say what you want about, Islam. He is probably one of the GOATs out there, right? He's the number one pound for pound right now in the UFC. He deserves that choice to move up a weight class and fight in the welterweight division. He's done quite a good job and has the resume in lightweight to make those moves. In fact, welterweight being the most stacked division right now, having, people like Ian Gary, Joaquin Buckley, JDM in the mix. We still have Bilal. He's a former champion. Don't forget that. Usman. We have Michael Morales. The welterweight division is completely stacked right now. And the fact that everyone in the welterweight division literally gave this man his space, stepped aside and allowed him to come up a weight class to take that challenge, that is the amount of respect Islam Makhachev is getting. But the decision, though, to vacate your lightweight title, that is a little bit fishy. I had this theory after Ilia Topuria vacated his featherweight title that the UFC doesn't want simultaneous champions anymore. And this is actually reinforcing that theory. Do they not want simultaneous champions anymore? Yes, you can be double champ by, having a championship in one weight class. Maybe you lose your belts or you vacate it in this case. And then you move up a weight class and then you get another championship belt, aka Alex Pereira after losing to Izzy, right? He went up a weight class and then he got that second belt. He is still a double champion. But remember, we had that era with Conor, Nunes, Daniel Cormier. These people had two belts in two weight classes at the same time, meaning that they had to defend the belt in one weight class and then maybe at a later time defend a belt at another weight class. It's a little bit shifty for a fighter because you have to make weight twice and you have to make weight at a lower weight class. So maybe we can consider that here for Islam. Does he feel like he doesn't want to cut the weight back to 155? Because Ilya said the same thing too as well. He said the 145 cut is a little bit too hard. And we've seen those clips of him looking like he's about to die when he's cutting weight. So that might probably be the problem. Or would you say that Islam is running away from Topuria? Because I think Topuria is a very, very dangerous striker. He is possibly the best striker that Islam has ever faced. Not saying JDM is not that big of a challenge anyways, because JDM is at a higher weight class. But if we were to scale the power ratios, I would say Ilia Topuria is actually a lot more dangerous on the feet than JDM. But the thing is, you can't say that. You can't say that Islam's scared because he's actually taking that challenge and going up a weight class to face a much heavier guy. So this is what the interesting thing is about. I'm very curious to see how this is all going to unfold. It's a little bit sus that these champions are somehow vacating their titles in order to take a bigger challenge. And what truly is the reason that the UFC is not allowing these simultaneous champions anymore? I don't know what that answer is. We're going to find out the answer to that question later on. Let's move on to the next fight. Pantoja versus Kai-Kara France. This fight, was long overdue. Now, Pantoja is in that weight class, I believe the flyweight division, where it's not that big of a division. So him being a champion, being a solid champion that he is, he's going to be fighting a bunch of guys multiple times. I won't be surprised if this fight's going to have a rematch, or if he has a rematch with Urseg, or if he has a rematch with a bunch of other guys in this weight division. And surprisingly, Pantoja is the only champion that doesn't want to move up in weight. He doesn't want to go up a weight class. He wants to solidify his legacy back down there in the flyweight division, and all respect to him. I think this fight is going to be a scrapper. I feel like this fight is either going to be a big upset or it's going to be a one-sided win from Pantoja, because he is such a tank and he takes shots like nothing. He takes shots like he's made out of steel. So this will be a very, very interesting fight. It was very, very long overdue. Let's see how Kara France performs against Alexandre Pantoja. And then the big fight, Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 319. This fight, again, another long overdue fight. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel if Khamzat's going to be champion. Like, that's crazy. I literally saw this dude rise, back in the pandemic, and fight like multiple times, like 10 times a year or something like that. And he's getting the championship. Like, this guy is super explosive in the first round. And then we have Dricus. Dricus, this, don't even get on me about his technique. People always talk about this guy's technique. I'm curious to see how Dricus is going to use his, free-spirited technique to deter the aggressiveness, the explosion, the offensive aggressiveness of Khamzat Chimaev. This will be a very, very interesting fight. And I'm very, very curious to see what the co-main event, or how this whole card is going to look, if this is going to be what we're getting here. But guys, it's happening. It is happening. I think Ilia Topuria will be the next lightweight champion, but he has a very, very difficult man in front of him, okay? And Islam versus JDM, who knows how that fight's going to go. JDM obviously has the advantage on the feet with the boxing, and it's just the question is, how is he going to be able to survive on the ground? How is he able to make sure he's not open for those Darce chokes? Because the way Islam has gotten to a certain level with those Darce chokes, it's his favorite choke. He tells you guys, the way he's gotten so good at those chokes, it takes a little small window of opportunity for you to be open. Maybe you're on all fours on the ground. You give him that opening, he will instantly catch that gap and put you to sleep. And let's see what happens, guys. The fights are going to be generational. All these fights coming up are going to feed families. I'm excited. Let's go. Let's do this shit.